Good evening. Welcome to the Mind of STEM channel, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm your host, Leon Jones. And in this segment, I'm going to talk about process failure mode and effects analysis, known as PFMEA. Now, previously, I talked about DFMEA, which is design failure mode and effects analysis. Now, both go hand in hand, especially if you are in the field of manufacturing. Now, design dealt with designing of a product or service. Process, it basically talks about identifying risk when we deal with process. So, the title of this evening's video is An Introduction to Process Failure Mode and Effects Analysis, PFMEA. What is PFMEA? Well, PFMEA is a methodical approach used for identifying risks on process changes. Now, the process FMEA initially identifies process functions, failure modes on their effects on the process. Now, if there are design inputs on special characteristics, the effector on the end user is also included. The severity ranking or danger of the effect is determined for each effect of failure. Then, causes and their mechanisms of the failure mode are identified. Now, the assumption that the design is adequate keeps the focus on the process. A high probability of cause drives actions to prevent or reduce the impact of the cause on the failure mode. Now, the detection ranking determines the ability of specific tests to conform the failure mode causes are eliminated. Now, the PFMEA also attracts improvements through, there's that number again, RPN, risk priority number reductions by comparing the before and after RPN, just as you had in the DFMEA. And after that, just as with the DFMEA, a history of improvement and risks mitigation can be chronicled. But why perform PFMEA? Well, just as with the DFMEA, risk is the substitute for failure on new processes. It is a good practice to identify risk for each process step as early as possible. Now, the main goal is to identify risk prior to tooling acquisition. Now, mitigation of the identified risk prior to the first article, or we did a video on this as well. I did a video on this as well, PPAP. You go check that video out. Give you an idea of what production part approval process is, because the first article of the PPAP will validate the expectation of superior process performance. Again, mitigation of the identified risk prior to the first article or PPAP, which is the production part approval process, will validate the expectation of superior process performance. Now, risks are identified on the new technology and processes, which, if left unattended, could result in failure. Now, again, just as in DFMEA, the PFMEA is applied when there is new technology or new process introduced, and there is a current process with modifications, which may include changes due to updated processes, continuous improvement, Kaizen, or COQ, which stands for cost of quality, and there is a current process exposed to a new environment change, in locations. Or let me correct this. There is a current process exposed to a new environment or change in location. Once again, there is a current process exposed to a new environment or change in location. Other than that, no physical change will be made to the process. Now, how to perform process failure mode and effects analysis. Now, just as with DFMEA, there are 5 primary sections of the process Pfmea. Each section has a distinct purpose with a different focus, and the Pfmea is completed in sections at different times within the project timeline, not all at once. So here's how the process starts. I'm going to name each section. Section 1, process name and function. Section 2, potential causes, mechanisms of failure. Section 3, current process controls detection. Section 4, RPN, risk priority number. And Section 5, actions taken and completion date. So, as you can tell, there is some similarities between the DFMEA and the Pfmea. But in the long run, when you are dealing with the Pfmea, you're basically looking at a methodical approach used for identifying risks on process changes. That concludes this segment on process failure mode and effects analysis, known as Pfmea. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for political content, check out the 401 Talk Zone radio show on YouTube. Also check out the 411 Talk Zone radio show on Blog Talk Radio. And this channel as well, the Mind of STEM. Here I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And if you can't find me on YouTube, just check me out on Twitter. Once again, I thank you for viewing the content here on the Mind of STEM channel. Again, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Please have a wonderful and gracious night. God bless you.